Hello, my name is Lily Trogus. The book I chose to review is called Storms of My Grandchildren by James Hansen. James Hansen is an activist who is very well known for bringing the pressing issue of global warming to the rest of the world's attention in the 1980s. He studied earth and space science and has testified before Congress on climate issues numerous times. His main purpose for writing this novel was to essentially inform the public of all the known truths about global warming. We are headed to the point of no return, and we as a whole need to act fast before we reach that point. He gives reasoning behind why certain plans and strategies aren't going to work and won't be enough. Personally speaking, I think he achieved his main purpose. Before reading this book, I was aware that global warming was a serious problem, but after reading this book is when I truly became terrified and wanted to actively do something to change this downward spiral. I don't want to live to see the day it all comes crashing down, like Hansen said can very well happen. As explained in the preface, his drive for writing this book was knowing that he had all this information and not warning the public, and it could lead to more extensive problems for the future generations, more specifically his young grandchildren. Personally speaking, it is really hard to think that far in advance, and I think that is our problem as humans. We think in the present and aren't looking multiple steps ahead. To hear such a concerned and knowledgeable person speaking on this topic really made me think. On another note, I found it interesting how he addressed climate issues on a political level and essentially said that the current efforts made by most politicians are ineffective or the politicians don't truly care about climate change, specifically addressing the flaws of President Obama's cap-and-trade proposal, which was relevant at the time this book was written. This is very scary knowing that the people who are making the big calls aren't consulting the people like Hansen who need to be leading us in the issues regarding climate change. I like how towards the end of the book, Hansen talked about how he used to see tons of monarch butterflies outside, and now he is lucky to see one every once in a while. He then delved into saying it could potentially be because there aren't as many milkweed plants, which monarchs are dependent on. I just found it interesting that such a little detail can be an indicator of such a big problem. It also made me hopeful that there are people like Hansen who took that issue and planted milkweed plants in a safe place to make real change, and suggest that others follow by example and do the same. If we have more people in this world who will pay attention to the small details, we just might be able to save our planet. The only way to start to think big is to start small. Something that made this book so intriguing to me at the beginning was Hansen's interest in climate change. You can tell from the moment you start reading this book the passion James Hansen has for what he's studying. It makes the reader interested and intrigued about what he has to say. Overall, I would definitely recommend this book to everyone. It is information that all humans have the right to know, and who better to hear it from than the nation's leading scientist on climate issues. I'm not one to typically read this type of book, but I'm more than happy I did, and I feel more informed and prompted to take action more than I was prior to reading Storms of My Grandchildren.